about both the hopeless crush and her using a fake relationship with Ravi as a shield against her mother's interference. And if they didn't entirely support the white lie, they at least understood the reasons behind it. Just like they'd known everything about her since the first day they'd started at primary school together. They knew what her mum was like, and they understood why Beth preferred the harmless pretense of an unrequited crush. She'd never been one for boyfriends growing up, and the more her mum had pushed her, the more she'd dug her heels in. Beth had been 8 years old when her dad had walked out with not so much as a backward glance. Her mum had spent the rest of Beth's formative years obsessed with finding a replacement for him, only one who could provide the financial security she craved. Before he'd left, there'd been too many times her mum had gone to pay a bill, only to find the meagre contents of their account missing. If Alan Reynolds hadn't frittered it away in the bookies, he'd blown it on his next get-rich-quick scheme. Given the uncertainty of those early years, she had some sympathy for her mum's position. If only she'd been less mercenary about it. A flush of embarrassed heat caught Beth off guard as she remembered the not-so-whispered comments about Linda Reynolds' shameless campaign to catch the eye and the wallet of newly widowed Reg Walters, her now husband. Determined not to emulate Linda, Beth had clung fiercely to the idea of true love. She had even thought she'd found it for a while, only to have her heart broken in the most clinical fashion the previous summer. Trying to talk to her mother about it had been an exercise in futility. Linda had no time for broken hearts. Move on, there's plenty more fish in the sea. She'd even gone so far as to encourage Beth to flirt with her useless lump of a boss, for God's sake. Beth shuddered at the very idea. In the end, she'd resorted to making up a romance with Ravi just to keep Linda off her back. Beth clattered the teaspoon hard against Ravi's coffee cup, scattering her wandering thoughts. Balancing the tea and coffee mugs in hand, she returned to her coveted corner of the office. People had offered her bribes for her spot, but she'd always refused, even if sitting under the air-conditioning tract meant she spent half the summer in a thick cardigan. Her cubicle with a view over the grimy rooftops of London was worth its weight in gold. When her work threatened to overwhelm her, she needed only to swivel on her chair and glance out at the world beyond to remind herself how much she'd achieved. The ant-sized people on the pavement scurried around, travelling through the arteries and veins of the city, pumping lifeblood into the heart of the capital. Moving to London had been another sop to Linda. Based on her mother's opinion, a stranger would believe Lavender Bay, the place where Beth had been born and raised, was akin to hell on earth. A shabby little seaside town where nothing happened. She'd moved there after marrying Beth's father, and being stuck on the edge of the country had chafed her raw, leaving her feeling like the world was passing her by. When her new husband, Reg, had whisked her off to an apartment in Florida weeks before Beth's 14th birthday, all of Linda's dreams had come true. She'd never stopped to consider her daughter's dreams in the process. Though she'd never been foolish enough to offer a contradictory opinion, Beth had always loved Lavender Bay. The fresh scent of the sea blowing in through her bedroom window, the sweet, stickier smells of candy floss and popcorn during high season, running free on the beach or exploring the woods and rolling fields which provided a backdrop to their little town. And, of course, there was Eleanor. The older woman had taken Beth under her wing and given her a Saturday morning job at the quirky seaside emporium she owned. The emporium had always been a place of wonder to Beth, with new secrets to be discovered on the crowded shelves. Hiding out in there had also given her a haven from Linda's never-ending parade of boyfriends. Beth suspected she'd been offered the few hours' work more to provide Eleanor with some companionship than any real requirement for help. When it had looked like Beth would have to quit school because of Linda and Reg's relocation plans, Eleanor had intervened and offered to take her in. Linda had bitten her hand off, not wanting the third wheel of an awkward teenage daughter to interrupt her plans. It hadn't mattered a jot that a single woman nearing 70 might not be the ideal person to raise a shy 14-year-old. Thankfully, Eleanor had been young at heart and delighted.